Well, they almost can't avoid you now. So either there's going to be a vacating of that title by Canelo, or at some point he's going to have to fight you. What will you do now? We're going to take a look at the knockout, but what are you going to do now? Because you got Charlo, you've got Morel, you have Caleb Plant. What would you like to do?
I'm waiting for him to send me the contract. Them bitches know what's up. I'm right here waiting for him. You know, I'm not scared of nobody. I'm the youngest guy, 3-time world champion, 168 division. I'll pull my belts against anybody, and I guarantee you I'll knock everybody out.
How much better can you get?
There's always room for improvement, and every day I strive to be as good as I can be, and I try to be as best as I can be every day.
In what area could you improve?
In everything. You know, you can learn in everything. Defense, offense. You know, it only gets better from here. I'm gonna keep working. You know, once I get guys, you know, as tough as David Lemieux, you know, that pushes me to work even harder to better myself and my style.
How much of a sense of
What's good, family? Smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So we just heard there from your mans, David Benavidez. Now, let me tell you something right now. Yeah? A little while ago, I used to call David Benavidez David Bumelo. Why have I changed? Well, I'm going to give the guy the next 6 months for free. Well, let's find out. Bottom line is, yeah, I'm letting you man know I'm letting Benavidez off the hook until his next fight. Now, if his next fight is against a bum, you best believe his name will be David Benavidez once again. Because there's no excuse now. Yeah? No excuse to be fighting no more bums. If you can't get Plant, they've got loads of dons out there. Morel, whoever. There's a whole bunch of cats. Mid-tier or the very top tier. Whole bunch of them. Lemieux, David Lummox. At the very bottom end of the middle, if you get what I'm saying. The very bottom end of the middle. That said, the reason I've had a semi-change of heart on Benavidez is, to be fair to the guy, he came out, and let's not forget, I was going to do a video on this, but look at Benavidez's face. It's not obviously, he's not battered and bruised, but he did get touched. And David LeBum ain't no joke. In as much as he came to fight, and he was swinging heavy leather, and he's known to do that. Billy Joe Sausages ran around from him all night. But when you're there to be hit, David Lemieux ain't no joke. He can bang. And it's evident on Benavidez's face. Now, despite that, Benavidez smoked his pack in the first round. That's why I've had a change of heart in the near term. I'm going to give him some credit there, because I expected him to go in there and try and do a bit of boxing. He went in there and moshy bashed the guy. Moshy bashed David LeBum. Right the way up for him. Knocked him clean out of the ring. So he's got some credit with me. That said, I mean, I've just leaked the post-fight interview. And it's the same. I worry about what the future holds for Benavidez. Now, people keep saying, I think, is he, 24? 25? So he's still young, but guess what? Tank Davis has been young as well. Yeah? Tank Davis has been young. And let's be real now. Tank Davis ain't fought no one. The only real decent fighter Tank Davis has fought was Pitbull Cruz. And all of a sudden he couldn't stop him. Tank's meant to be this big KO guy, and the first man he fights who's there to win can't do nothing with him, and arguably lost the fight. Oops. The first time we see don't forget, people, Tank Davis meant to be a big hard ass knockout artist, and all of a sudden, the minute he's in there with someone with a pulse, he's running backwards for the first time in his career for 10 rounds. It's a bit like Bumelo. Yeah, Bumelo's meant to be a big hard ass, gets in there with someone half decent in Bivol, and he's running around. It's amazing. All these big hard knockout artists, get in there with someone their own level, and they shit their pants. So why am I telling you that? Well, listen. Am I putting hope into Benavidez? I am. But as I've just explained, time and time again, yeah, we see these individuals who look the business, and then they go in there with someone their own level, and all of a sudden they turn into ballerina, and all that smokiness disappears. Although like I said, the reason I'm giving Benavidez credit is because he did go in there and he was seriously on it. Yeah, David LeBum ain't no good, but still, he was on it. Sometimes Benavidez, to a fault almost. I mean, when he fought, for example, J. Leon Love. When Benavidez fought J. Leon Love, I think it took him about 7 rounds. J. Leon Love's no good. He should have been moshy bashed the same way. And I just hope that Benavidez keeps this same energy now, full stop. He should, from now on, he should make it his brand to moshy bash them all. Yeah, moshy bash Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant makes sense as the next step. I think Charlo's not a level above Plant, but I think Charlo's, if Plant's a 6.5, Charlo's a 7. So it makes sense. Smoke Plant's pack, and also Plant's been knocked out already, kind of thing. Charlo's undefeated. Smoke Plant's pack on pay-per-view. Smoke Charlo's pack on pay-per-view, and then Canelo. That makes the most sense. Do I think Benavidez is ready for Canelo now? I don't. And the fight don't even make sense now, commercially. But that said, fighting Bum still, that ain't going to do nothing for Benavidez. He must step up now. And like I said, what worries me is the fact that the interviewer said to him, no one can duck you now. Apparently, I'm not sure what belt I think Benavidez just won the WBC Interim Championship. Now, we know at 168, Canelo is undisputed. Now, Canelo's about to fight Triple G, and then probably Bivol. So he's going to be tied up for another year. I think that's a great opportunity for Benavidez. Use that year to build your own clout, so you can really go into that fight on an experience level and clout level, not far off Bumelo's. Yeah, because right now you don't have the experience of Canelo. You haven't even been in a fight where you're actually getting hit back. Let's be real now, you haven't. We have not seen it. Or tell I, Benavidez has been in one fight where he's genuinely been hit back. And guess what? Much like all them other guys, yeah, I've just mentioned Tank Davis and Bumelo. Go and watch Benavidez versus Gavril. Oops, yeah. Gavril wasn't even a top 5 guy, and guess what? Benavidez couldn't stop him twice in a row. Do you understand? And that's what I'm trying to tell you, man. These guys look good against bums. They go in there with someone who's on it, and half decent, and they can't do nothing. So, Benavidez must make it his business not to chase Canelo. Because, yeah, he's the interim champion. And there was, in the post-fight press conference, someone was saying, you're interim champion now. Are you going to press the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, to get this mandatory? Now, to be fair, Benavidez's manager said, no, we're not looking for Canelo. And that's the best mode right now. Build your own, make your own lane, and then, much like Triple G did, Triple G was able to go into the Canelo fight as kind of a 60-40. No one's been able to do that apart from Floyd. You can be that potentially 60-40 guy. Rather than getting paid 20%, Alvarez currently pays people about 10 to 20%. You can go in there a 40% guy. If you can smoke Plant within 6 rounds, if you can smoke Charlo within 6 rounds, which should be your goal. That should be what you're training for right now. 2 big pay-per-view fights back to back. Smoke Plant within 6, smoke Charlo within 6. If you can do that, I think at least, especially if Canelo goes on to lose to Bivol again in that space of time, I think that's a 50-50 fight in terms of revenue split. Because whatever things Canelo's built up, if Benavidez stops Charlo and Plant in a better fashion than Bumelo did, that's 50-50 split. But either way, you'd certainly get 60-40. That's what your team should be focusing on now. Go in to chase Canelo. I understand it. I mean, fighters, to some extent, are delusional. So I understand Benavidez believing he can knock Canelo out now. But realistically, the chances of you knocking Canelo or beating Canelo go up exponentially once you've actually had some elite level experience. You haven't got that yet. And like I said, in fact, the one time you did step up to top level, you couldn't stop the guy twice. So let's be realistic now. Now, I believe to some extent Benavidez may have improved. Clearly, he's got more ferocious. But still, we need to see him apply that ferociousness in the same way he couldn't against Gavril twice. I want to see him apply this newfound ferociousness against Charlo, against Plant. If he can do that and stop them both within 6, for example, that would seriously have me thinking, you know what, who knows? That Alvarez fight would certainly be 50-50, especially when Alvarez, getting another 18 months old, he will certainly be 33, 34, whereas you'll be 26 and fully into your man strength. Whereas Alvarez will be towards the latter end of his peak. So this whole narrative of chasing Bumelo around, unless you're looking for a quick payout, as they all have, Plant paid out, Callum Smith paid out, Billy Joe Sausages paid out. If that's what you're looking for, then check out. But it don't make no sense strategically or any other. There's no basis that financially it doesn't make sense now. The only way it would make sense now, yeah, is if you think you're going to knock Canelo out 100% sure. And I don't care what no one says. No one can tell me they're 100% sure Benavidez is going to knock Canelo out. That would be the only way it makes sense now. And even then, to be honest with you, even if you were 100% sure it was going to happen, it still makes more sense to get your own experience, get your own clout, and go into that fight an entity in your own right. Too many people have turned up to the Bumelo fight and been sidemen. You have the opportunity now to make your own lane and go into that fight much like Triple G did. When Triple G fought Canelo, it was 50-50. Both in terms of their clout. Obviously, Canelo was more of a draw, but in terms of their clout and the expectations of the fight, it was 50-50. You have the opportunity to do that. So don't rush in it, don't make no sense. And the fact that you've taken all this time anyway, it's not like you've been fast-tracked. Let's be real now, you've been fighting the bums for a long time, so what's the point of rushing now? You might as well fight a few more higher level bums, like Charlo, like Plant. Now, fair enough, people say, well, he can't force them to get into the ring. Like I said yesterday, if that's the case, you need to be exposing. I don't know what these management teams be doing. I'll tell you this for free. If we were looking for a fight and people were ducking, I'll be putting documents out there. We sent this email out and didn't get a response. We sent this term sheet and didn't get a response. We offered this guy 30 million, didn't get a response. That's what I'll be doing, airing them out, simple as that. But these days, I get the feeling that these guys are happy to carry on fighting bums. I get the feeling both sides aren't really that fussed. That's the feeling I get. They're both kind of happy to have all the social media back and forth, but not get in the ring. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it feels. Because if I was dying to fight someone, yeah, and they were ducking, I'd be saying, listen, I'm going to show you lot the proof. Why wouldn't you do that? And I've got to admit, I feel like I've been more than fair with Benavidez, especially in the last few days, since his performance against Lummox, yeah? But, I'll be honest, you've heard the post-fight interview now, and reading between the lines on some of his language, he says, or the interviewer says, surely Canelo and the others can't duck you now, because you've got the golden ticket, which is the interim championship. That is, I mean, let's be real now, if Plant wants his revenge, beating Benavidez, that gets you a guaranteed shot at Canelo again, because you then become interim champion, which is going to be called within the next year. Same as Charlo. If Charlo wants that, in fact, even Andrade, same as Andrade. Anyone who wants that guaranteed Canelo shot, because let's be real now, Canelo is never going to stay at 175, never. And he's definitely not going to 200 pounds now. Even if he rematches Bivol, there's no way he's going to hang around at 175, because number one, Bivol going to beat him again, most likely. And number two, there's nothing sweet for Bumelo at 175, which means that now all them options he had before, might fight Usyk, might fight Makabu, might do this, might become undisputed at 175, that's done. Which means that literally Canelo has no option than to stay at 168 or retire. So he's going to stay there. Hence, to some extent, the interviewer was right. Benavidez now has the golden Willy Wonka ticket. So these guys, there's no other, all roads really now lead to Benavidez. If you want that guaranteed Canelo shot, Benavidez is the one right now to beat. Now I'm sure, to be fair, there are 4 other belts, so I guess Benavidez has a WBC, but I guess there'll be mandatory positions for the other 3 as well. Knowing these scary dudes, that's probably what they'll do. But either way, like I said, what worries me a bit here is the language that Benavidez used. The interviewer said, well, you're the man now, everyone gonna duck you now, or surely people can't duck you now. And Benavidez says, oh, I've been here, and I've been waiting for their contracts. They don't send me no contracts. I've been waiting for the contract. I've been waiting for them to send me a contract, and I'll fight all these bitches and I'll knock them all out. Now, where is my concern with what he said? Well, he says he's been waiting for them to send him a contract, and this is what I've been theorizing. This is what I just told you. My theory is both sides sit around waiting. Do you understand? My theory is both sides, and the problem is, you see today, boxers are massively overpaid. In my opinion, apart from the best fights, these guys should be paid relative peanuts. For example, I believe Benavidez shouldn't have been paid more than 100 grand to beat Lemieux. Because, I mean, from what I understand, I think he probably made about $1 million or more last night. Now, if the problem is, you see, when you're making $1 million, to have a fight you're going to win every time, maybe even $2 million. When you're getting paid $1 million or $2 million to fight people you know you can knock out within a round, and you can show no respect, and you can take no risk with, why are you going to risk fighting someone like Charlo when you can make $2 million anyway? What's the point fighting Charlo for $5 million, $6 million, or even $8 million? Even if, I don't think they'll get paid $8 million, but even if Charlo and Benavidez get $6-7 million each, when you can make 1 or 2 fighting bums, why wouldn't you? It don't make no sense, does it? I'd rather fight 3 bums in a year and get paid $6 million than fight Charlo and Plant. That's what they're doing, unfortunately. The sport's all back to front. It should be big reward for big risk and fuck all for fuck all. These days, it's big reward for fuck all and big reward for big fight. It's all mixed up. It's weird. I don't get it. It's odd. Super odd. And that's what you heard there from Benavidez. I've been waiting for these guys to send a contract. What do you mean you've been waiting? And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Is Benavidez any more scary than anyone else? No, they're all doing it though. The problem is these days, Benavidez, Plant, Charlo, they all just happy to fight bums for $500,000 or $1 million. That's the bottom line here, people. They're more than happy to fight bums. None of them actually want to go out of their way. Hence, the fights never get done, because everyone sits around saying, oh well, I never got sent a contract. Well, someone's got to be the first guy, haven't they? Someone's got to be the one to say, I want to fight you. Here's the offer. If Benavidez doesn't go to Al Heyman and tell him, I want Plant, send the offer, then what does he mean? I've been waiting for them to send a contract. Well, why can't you send it? And that's what I was saying a second ago when I said, I don't believe any of these guys really want it. Or historically speaking, I don't believe any of them have genuinely demanded to make the fight. Because if Benavidez had been trying to make this fight behind closed doors, he would have put out some sort of information by now. Saying, look, we sent Plant this offer, we sent Charlo this offer, we sent Andre this offer. And I've also heard in the past, actually, that apparently Benavidez ducked Andre. Apparently Benavidez was offered like $5 million, and he said no. So it's all, like I said, and to be honest with you, I still feel this guy's really, yeah. Now I've thought about it. Now I've talked about this. Really, his name's still Benavidez. I'm sorry. Until he fights someone, his name is Benavidez. Because I'm giving him credit for shit he ain't doing, and still his language isn't. His language should have been. And some people even mentioned, why didn't Benavidez mention someone's name? This reminds me of Crawford and Spence a few years ago. Crawford and Spence 2-3 years ago would never mention each other's name. They'd say, "Oh, I want them all." And guess what? We never got that fight, and it's the same thing now. Why can't Benavidez come out and say... And the thing is, when you say you want them all, it's a built-in place to hide. Who do you want to fight next? Oh, I'll fight them all. What that also, it sounds good and all the casual fans lap it up, but in reality what it means is that you have no actual plans to fight any of them. Yeah? Saying you'll fight them all means, well, I've got no immediate plans to fight anyone specifically. And more likely, I'll slip another bum in between. Do you understand? Because we've been hearing, how long now have we been hearing Benavidez telling us he'll fight them all, but then fighting none of them? And again, I'm not saying he's any different, but they're all doing it. Charlo, Plant, all of them, man. All of them, man, are the same thing. They all say, I'll fight them all. None of them mention any specific names. And then, time and time again, they fight bums. And it wears me down and pisses me off. Yeah? Because if I was advising Benavidez, we would have come out and said, listen, I want Plant next. Plant, you're sweet. I've spoken to Al before this fight. I knew I was going to mollywop David Lummox, and the contract's in the post. Check your email. Yeah? I told Al before this fight, when I finish this David Lemieux fight, I want you to send the contract to Caleb Plant. I want you bad. That's how call-outs are supposed to work at the end of a fight. Sitting there saying, oh, I haven't received no offers and I'll fight them all. What? What's that good for? That's not proactive. We can all sit there and say, I'll fight them all and I've got no offers. Who can't? I'm not even a boxer. I could say that. I could say I'll fight them all and I've received no offers. Who can't say that? Anyone in the world can say that. Oh, I'll fight everyone in the world, but I haven't got no offers. What's so hard about that? The true proof is when you send the offers out. Why have you got? What is this whole victim sideman mentality, where you've got to sit there and wait? Why can't you do the proactive thing and send offers out? And too often, or 9 times out of 10 these days, that's what happens. People just sit around fighting bums, and I'm sick of it. And I'm sorry, but Benavidez is another one of these. And the things we heard last night, I don't know. I got a bad feeling now about the next 6 months. I got a bad feeling Benavidez and his team potentially are going to sit in this middle ground no man's land of interim WBC champion, knowing Canelo's tied up. And I got a bad feeling they're going to use the fact that Canelo's tied up to say, oh, we want the Canelo shot, knowing Canelo's busy for the next year with Bivol and Triple G. In doing so, that will give Benavidez the cover to say, oh, we want Canelo, we're interim champion. We don't need to fight Charlo and Plant. That's a step back. We want Canelo. And then 6 months from now, when obviously anyone who knows boxing knows the Canelo fight isn't on, Benavidez will then say, oh well, Plant's got a fight booked now. Charlo's got a fight booked now. Canelo's fighting Bivol, so I'll have to fight a random bum. That's what I think's coming up next. I'm sorry. That's what happens every time. They throw us some half true narrative and then put a fight with a bum in instead. That's what we're gonna get, I feel. Yeah? I don't believe. I've got a bad feeling about this whole shtick. I really have a real bad feeling about this shtick. Because if he was thinking about someone in particular, why hasn't he got... I mean, these guys, they say about, oh well, I only like to think one fight at a time. Let's be real now. David Lemieux was a bum. You knew you was going to win that. So, it begs the question, you know you're going to beat Lemieux, so why is there no forethought about what's next? You've been hinting about it. You've been woofing on Instagram. You've been woofing with Caleb Plant on Instagram about it. So why can't there be I don't understand. Why can't there be structures in place today, yeah, where, I don't know, a 2-fight deal? Why can't Al Heyman put together built-in narratives, built-in 2-fight deals? So, for example, Caleb Plant just lost to Canelo, and I think he's fighting someone else. But why can't Plant and Benavidez have sat down already and agreed, okay, assuming you win your fight and I win my fight, we'll sign a deal now to lock in the fight afterwards? Why can't that happen? I don't get it. What is all this sitting around fronting? There's no reason 2 months ago, when that beef kicked off between Canelo and Plant, there's no reason they couldn't have sat down there and then and agreed, listen, we both know we've both got fights coming up in the next few months. Fine, we know that. We both know we're most likely to win them fights. Fine, we know that. So on that basis, assuming we do both win, let's lock in now. Sign a contract for some provisional date in the future. November, September, whenever. Why couldn't they do that? Instead, guess what they said? I remember it. When the beef went on between Benavidez and Plant, guess what was said? Benavidez came out and said, I've got to focus on David Lemieux, and after that, what? What do you mean you got to focus on a 20-1 underdog? And that's what I'm saying when I tell you that I'm not sure about this guy. Yeah, I'm not sure about the whole lot of it now. Now I've fleshed it out. I'm not sure about what these guys are really on. I'm sorry, and I think Benavidez can stop Plant, but why aren't these things set up? Why aren't his management team putting these things in place? There's no reason. I mean, historically speaking, big fights, that's how big fights are made. Historically, big fights are made on the night of other fights. That's the best press. The best press tonight, yeah, would have been to have Caleb Plant at the Benavidez fight and bring him in the ring. Where was he? And what worries me is Al Heyman manages all these guys. So it begs the question, where was Charlo? Where was Plant? Well, fair play, Charlo's fighting Selecki, but where was Plant? I think the Plant fight makes more sense first anyway. But where was he? And again, that tells me that this was Benavidez's show. So, why didn't Benavidez insist for Plant to be there? And if Plant declined, that would have been a great narrative to spin. Tonight he could have got on the microphone after the fight. The interviewer said to him, what's next for you? He could have then said, listen, behind closed doors we've been trying to get the Plant fight done. We wanted to announce it to the fans tonight, but Plant didn't want to turn up. Facts. Imagine that. That would have bring the house down, exposing Plant. But guess what? Ain't none of that set up. Instead, he's saying the same shit we've been hearing for years. Oh, I'll fight them all, and but I've been waiting for a contract. The heck? So like I said, when you start doing the mental maths here and working things out, it ain't looking good right now. It's not, I'm sorry, it's just not. This is the same shit we get every time. Every time we get a bum, and every time we hear, I'll fight anyone. You'll fight anyone, but you're always fighting bums. And that goes for all of these guys. They're always fighting bums. Always not. That's the thing I don't get. These guys always manage to sign contracts with bums. I don't understand it. And I bet you any money, Benavidez didn't sit around waiting for a contract from David Lemieux, did he? Oops. Do you get what I'm saying? I bet you any money David Benavidez was the one who sent a contract to Lemieux. Yeah? I bet David Benavidez didn't sit around waiting to sign a contract from Lemieux, did he? Let's be real now. Are you telling me David Benavidez was minding his business and Lemieux was the one who approached him? No. So it begs the question, Why is it you're able to source bums every time? Why is it David Benavidez has no problem finding bums and sending contracts to bums, but fights like Plant and Charlo, he ain't sending no contracts out, and he's the one waiting. Explain it. We need to understand the process, because all these bums these bums you fight every time, they get their contracts. Yeah, you managed to source Benavidez all right, didn't you? Sorry, you managed to source Lemieux. So it's not looking. I'm sorry, folks, but it's not looking good right now for Benavidez. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm reading too much into it, but I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I want to see these fights. I'm a fan, but it's just not what I'm. The whole vibe for me is off now. And once again, we're now going into another period now where it'll all die down. Yeah, it'll all go quiet for 6 months. We might hear something about Benavidez wanting to fight Canelo for the mandatory, and then nothing will happen, and all of a sudden you'll hear about Benavidez versus some bum again. And he'll be saying the same thing he's been saying. Oh, no one will fight me. Oh, I didn't get any contracts. Oh, I'll fight them all. Oh, well, I can't think about it. That's 100%. Let's say Benavidez fights a bum, yeah? And then when he's fighting a bum, he'll say, oh, I'll fight them all. Oh, I never got a contract. And then he'll say, oh, well, I can't think about Plant and Charlo until after this fight. But that's what he said. That's what he said last time, isn't it? Let's be real now. Before the Lemieux fight, he said, I can't talk about Plant because I got the Lemieux. Now we're going into the same thing and you're saying the same shit again. Oh, I'll fight them all and I haven't received any contract. I'm telling you now what's coming next. There'll be 3-4 months of silence. And then you'll hear about Benavidez versus some bum. And he'll be saying, well, I'm just sick of the whole lot of it. Yeah, Benavidez, pull your finger out your ass and start being proactive. And start hunting these guys down. If you're the Mexican killer, show it. Because so far you're the Mexican bum slayer. That's what it is. That's the facts of the situation. You fought all bums. And the one bum you didn't fight, you couldn't stop him. And you went life and death. That's the facts, people. If you don't like it, that's on you.